Memory, 5,164. The first thing he notices about her is her courage. For her to even step foot near his castle, where neither armies nor thieves dare tread, let alone stand here, facing him, not begging, not cowering, just plainly asking for his help. You come to my home and dare to ask me to help you help them? A rumble comes from his chest, a sensation he has not felt in years, perhaps decades. He erupts with laughter. Her face falls, not in deference, but with steely resolve. This sickness can be cured. I'm sure of it. Dracula walks down the stairs, looks at her more closely. The resemblance stops him in his tracks. She looks just like Elizabetha. He pauses for a moment. Could it be? Or has her face faded from his memory over the centuries? I appreciate your bravery in asking this of me. He pauses, gestures towards her. Lisa. My name is Lisa. Memory, 5,181. Dracula wakes as the sun falls over the west. He presses open the door of his coffin and is surprised to see Lisa sitting in his reading chair. You are back early. She stands, walks to him, embraces him. He feels the warmth of her body immediately, radiating through him. It reminds him of how the sun felt on his skin all those years ago. I stayed here today. Dracula smirks. No lives to save today, then? He feels her face form into a smile on his shoulder. Well, I felt rather ill this morning. He frowns, holds her shoulders, looks closely at her face. Have you caught the sickness from them? What can I do? She smiles again, looks at the floor. No, not that kind of ill. I don't understand. I felt ill in the morning. His eyes widen. You don't mean... She places a hand on her belly. Memory, 5,260. When he comes across her body, he takes it in his hands. It is light, lighter than before. Gone is the warmth that once radiated from her like a roaring fire, killed by the ignorance of men, those she had dedicated her life to saving. Perhaps if her heart had been a little smaller, her intentions less grand, she could have been spared. But she pledged herself to fight that disease, and her brilliance led to such success that those fools could only see it as black magic. He holds her broken body in his hands, remembers her words. Do not hate them. But in this moment, he hates them. He hates them for their small minds, hates them for doing this to her. More, he hates them because they forced his hand to go back on his word. He whispers into her lifeless ear, I am sorry, my beloved. I am sorry for the suffering they have brought upon themselves. Memory, 5,279. You cannot do this. His son stands in front of him, in confident defiance of his father. Dracula looks at him. He sees nothing of himself in his son. He sees only Lisa. Dracula turns his head away. I will not let this transgression go unpunished. please. Father, I am begging you. I saw her. She told me not to save her. Her dying wish was for us to leave them alone. She would never approve of this path. Please, honor her memory. I shall honor her memory by bathing in the blood of those who took her away from us. I grow so weary of their machinations, their craven tactics. To kill her during the day, when they know I could not retaliate, they will suffer as I did. Then I have no choice. Adrian draws his blade, faces his father. I take no pleasure in this, Father. I do this for her. Memory, 5,293. He stalks the castle floors, looks upon the army he has raised, terrible, twisted creatures. He hears the grinding of bone across the marble, the flaps of leathery wings. Despite all the noise and chaos, his castle still feels empty. He has spent months summoning, gathering this loose coalition of monsters under his banner, but he can feel nothing for them but disgust. He wordlessly walks past the ghouls and devils as they growl and snarl and gnash their teeth at one another. While they will wreak havoc on those miserable souls who took Lisa from him, they will be disorganized. If only his son were here. Death sees the look on Dracula's face and speaks up. He will see reason, Lord Dracula, but he must hear it from you. And how do you suppose I should go about finding him? Well, interesting that, Lord Dracula. Word is that he haunts the very halls of this castle, hiding from the people of Wallachia, from his own true form. He is your heir. He will see reason. Dracula sneers, levels his eyes at death. My heir? I gave him everything, and he turned on me. Tell me, what more a father can I be? What more can I give him to make him see this reason? Death turns his head to the legion of creatures in the great hall. I did not mean to suggest that you had not done everything for him, just that he lost her too, his mother, and a fire must too burn inside of him. Dracula pauses, considers this advice, considers his own blood somewhere in this very castle, still so close. I shall consider this, Death. Thank you. You have given me much to think about. Memory, 5,306. Dracula snarls. Another Belmont. Of course it's another Belmont. Indeed, Lord Dracula, he... Enough! Send everything we have to stop him. Be gone. Belmont. Just saying the name makes his lip curl. Generations upon generations of them, foolishly dedicated to ending vampires' bloodlines. All because their progenitor, Leon, couldn't see the big picture. Foolish or not, that weapon passed down through their family is a true threat. The vampire killer. They never were ones for subtlety. This new one, Trevor. Dracula has heard rumors of him, but nothing that made him sound like anything more than a pale imitation of his forefather. The last of his line, too. Dracula smiles. This may be less of a threat, more of an opportunity. End the cursed Belmont bloodline here, in this castle, and none will stand in his way to bring all of Wallachia to heel. Memory 5336. Dracula hears the dull thud of footsteps as they march up the stone stairs to his keep. 4, by his count. He sits back in his throne, waits for them to arrive. He looks to the painting of Lisa, unchanged after all these years. He touches his own face, same as it was all those centuries ago. He thought of the sadness that comes with loving a human, watching them grow old, staying the same all the while, never able to truly be present with them through life. When they took her from him, he wasn't even granted sorrow. All he had was rage. The door creaks, opens slowly. I thought you would never get here. I suppose my army wasn't all that I hoped it would be. Trevor stomps into the room, ready for battle. Enough, vampire. Your reign of terror ends tonight. Oh, is that all right, little man? You think you will defeat me? Many have tried. Behind him come others, a young woman, a quiet determination in her eyes. Another, the rebel whose attack he had turned years ago, his curse broken, and his son. The bloodthirsty grin falls from Dracula's face. My Adrian. So, we will do this little dance one more time then. You could have joined me. We could have had our revenge. His son lowers his sword, points it at Dracula. I honor her in my own way, Father.
Memory 3117. How they found him was a mystery, but Trevor knew what they wanted. The road to Wallachia is long, and he is the only traveler. People in this part of the world know the roads are not safe at night. He was prepared to cast out his unwanted visitors, just as his ancestors were cast out by the people they had saved so long ago. But he knows this is the call he has been waiting for. After all these years, his time has finally come. He scans the desolate landscape and thinks about those who came before him. He thinks about his ancestor, Leon, the first of his lineage of vampire hunters. Did he travel this same road? Did he feel this same burden of duty, the weight of the world bearing down on his shoulders? Perhaps he is watching me now. The crumbling walls of Wallachia rise up in the distance. Trevor's blood chills in his veins. It has been too long since I last returned home. What kind of welcome awaits me here? Memory 3101. The city gates are closed for the night. the boys guarding the wall eager to use their crossbows on anyone or anything that dares approach. I'll wait until morning. Let them see my approach in the light of day. He sets up a fireless camp in the neighboring forest and listens to the screeching of bats as they fly between the treetops. The sound is surprisingly soothing, and his eyes flutter shut in mere minutes. A gust of wind disturbs the peace of sleep, and Trevor awakes to see someone atop him. One hand planted on the ground, another on his person, a sneering face close to his. A bandit? A murderer? Trevor rises in a flash, thrusting the menace to the ground. Even beneath the red moon, he can scarcely discern any features from the bandit. The bandit cowers on the ground at first, then lunges forward, blade glistening in the light of the moon. Trevor raises his dagger and rushes to meet his opponent. The bandit matches his every move, blades flashing in the night. This man is no ordinary bandit. He's agile, disciplined. The fight comes to a halt when Trevor feels cold steel at his throat. The bandit grunts, pinned against an oak tree. Trevor's dagger digging into the bandit's neck. An impasse. Trevor keeps the bandit at arm's length. Now you listen to me. You'll get no money from me, for I have none. But what I do have is an opportunity. You fight well, and I need fighters to help me take on the evil plaguing the land. I promise you will be rewarded for your efforts. The bandit snarls, lunges, knocks Trevor to the ground. The sounds of angry bats fills his ears. Trevor recovers himself, his eyes regaining focus. Where did he go? Why did he run? He refuses to sleep the rest of the night, waiting to watch sunlight break the horizon hours later. Memory 3043. It was barely a shove, but Trevor tightens his fist. Do not retaliate. The man is drunk. If you hurt him, you will just prove him right. The drunkard's voice is like the bray of a donkey, loud enough and harsh enough to get the attention of passers-by. I see it in your eyes. You wish to kill me, Belmont. Go ahead and try. We all know who it is you really serve. A pair of men try to pull the drunkard away, but he refuses to let up. Unhand me, will you? His power is unnatural. I'm on the city watch. If I don't drive out monsters like him, then who will? The drunkard breaks free of his friends and knocks Trevor against the tavern wall. Leave now, Belmont, before I drive my knife through you. Arguments rise all around. Some align themselves with the drunkard, gathering to curse Trevor. Others come to his defense. Remember what the Belmonts have done for us all. Don't be foolish. There's evil in his blood. You insult your ancestors with your hatred. Only one person in the crowd is brave enough to get close to Trevor, to lead him away from the fray and into the tavern. The villagers are too consumed by their passions to notice him walk away. Memory 3048. The pale stranger sets a pair of frothing mugs in front of Trevor and takes a seat next to him at the bar. Trevor stares at the drink placed in front of him, watching the bubbles pop on the amber surface. The stranger gives a knowing smile. We can trade glasses, if you'd like. Trevor scoffs, takes the drink. In a town filled with people who curse the name of Belmont, this man was the only one to extend him any courtesy. The drink tastes as it should, no trace of poison as he runs the first sip over his tongue. The pale stranger ignores his own drink, leans in. So you really think you can kill Dracula? The question is so blunt, Trevor nearly chokes on his drink. I am a Belmont. I don't think I can. I know I can. They talk for most of the night. The stranger speaks as if they've known each other their whole lives. Again and again, he returns to the same topic. The Dark Lord is the embodiment of pure evil. Many have tried to defeat him, and all of them have failed. I've relished the thought of taking arms against him myself, but I know how it would end. What makes you any different? Trevor studies this man sitting next to him. The people of Wallachia fear Dracula because they have so much to live for. But I'm different. The singular purpose of my life is right there. He points to the tavern window, to the dark spires looming over the city walls. Out there, at the top of that cursed place, is where my destiny lies. The stranger lets out a bitter chuckle. Trevor takes a full mug from the barkeeper. If you don't think I can fight him alone, then you're more than welcome to join me. I'll never say no to a helping hand. But the stranger is gone. Outside the bar, another day begins. The beginning of the end. Memory 3092. The castle loomed large on the horizon. But as Trevor passed through the outer gates, the abomination was all-encompassing. A massive growth devouring the earth. A vast cemetery surrounds the castle like a great moat of death. Trevor reads the names on the tombstones as he walks by on unsteady feet. He has traveled on foot so far, and his body demands a rest. He sits before a stone monument and wraps himself in his cape. The sky churns. A storm is on its way. He knows what awaits him inside the castle. He knows he can triumph over evil. He knows he will suffer to do so. This is my destiny. I only hope my children, and their children after them, will never have to face such evil. The sky explodes in a flash of lightning. The sensation seems to awaken something deeper within the cemetery. Footsteps. Servants of Dracula prepared for battle. Perhaps he always knew I was coming. Perhaps he is waiting for me. No sense in making him wait any longer. Memory 3104. Sifa suggests they set up camp in the Great Hall. The castle has been quiet here, and if the legends are true, they will face their greatest threat soon. Trevor agrees, and he and Grant gather enough food for a filling meal. They talk by candlelight, sharing tales of their exploits, revisiting painful memories of defeat. Trevor asks what Sifa meant when she said they would face their greatest threat soon. We are far from Dracula's throne room. Sifa shakes her head, her eyes as cold as the grave. I was referring to his son, the one they call Alucard. Grant nods. I have heard of him as well. The fruit of an unholy union between human and vampire. Stronger than any man. I heard tell that he would roam the land in disguise. Not sure why. Maybe he wanted a taste of real humanity. The memory strikes Trevor at his core. It was mere days ago that he first arrived in Wallachia. Cold eyes met him there, whispered curses, threats veiled and made plain. Only one had treated him with dignity. He looks at Sifa and Grant on either side of him, quietly finishing their meals. This Alucard might be the threat Sifa says he is, but Trevor can't shake the feeling he will be something different altogether. Memory 3110. Trevor looks up at the vaulted ceiling. The flickering light from their torches struggles to climb the walls. He can barely see the bats circling so far overhead. But he can see their fluttering wings, hear their familiar screeching. Grant waves a dismissive hand and turns over in his bedroll. They're just bats, Belmont. But Trevor knows better. He blinks at the darkness above. The fluttering of wings suddenly ceases, the screeching silenced in an instant. Someone was up there, resting on the rafters, looking down at the three of them. I know this man. The bandit in the camp. The man at the bar. He's been following me this whole time. Why? Trevor's voice slams against the walls of the Great Hall. Show yourself, Alucard. Grant and Siffa shoot to their feet at the mention of that cursed name. Siffa readies a spell. Trevor holds up a hand to stop her. The man in the rafters stays frozen to the spot. Trevor is hit with a wave of understanding. You wish your father vanquished, don't you? Your cause is the same as ours. That is why you followed me here. It's why you keep your distance rather than attack. There is no need to hide. Join us. Even in the darkness, Trevor can't mistake the glisten in Alucard's eye, the curl of his lip. He leaps from the rafters, his falling body dissipating into a raging swarm of bats. The three vampire hunters shield themselves against the bats as they swoop down, barreling towards the door leading out of the Great Hall. Trevor checks Grant and Siffa. No one was injured in the attack. They listen as the screeching fades down the long corridor, punctuated by a powerful demand. Find me. Prove your strength.
Arcus, 10,333. Rituals of the Black Serpent. Book by an unknown scholar. I have found several different versions of the manuscript. The Black Serpent Society passed the scrolls down from High Priest to a successor. The scrolls were said to have been destroyed by warriors devoted to the destruction of the Black Serpent clan. Yet several scrolls were hidden in the unknown spaces between worlds and compiled into a book. Arcus, 10,357. Teyal, a cavern in the void in which a giant lizard-like creature dwells. This place is said to hold a doorway to another living dimension, unlike the entity. The Magnificent Maurice, 5. Well, time flew as it always does, and the pups were growing bigger and hungrier. So we made a home out of a crumbling old abandoned shack in the woods on the outskirts of a little town named Plum Ridge. And it was a good thing too, because the pups could sneak into Plum at night and bring back all kinds of scraps from the gardens and garbage bins. Turnips and cabbage and carrots and beets and all kinds of meat. We were living the high life in Plum. And on this one particular day, Willow came back from Plum with the strangest little box, covered in all kinds of gold and silver geometric shapes. She said she had found it in one of those black automobiles. The driver had stepped out to relieve himself, leaving the door wide open, and she hopped in and out before he knew what was what. She grabbed the box, and we stared at it all night in the moonlight pouring through the collapsing roof. Then we each took turns trying to open it, and when it wouldn't open, Trouble grabbed it and tossed it outside and said it was giving him a bad feeling. A really bad feeling. But would you believe, the next morning, it was right there on the floor next to us, and the pups were accusing one another of playing pranks and trying to be funny. When they all swore they were innocent of tomfoolery, we gathered around the box and stared at the gleaming gold and silver shapes and wondered what in tarnation was going on. The Lost Battalion, to fight another day. Down at the gates of a small community, a German soldier raised a hand to signal to Evan that the men were in position. Evan didn't know how long he had been in this terror world, but he had somehow managed to unite his men with the enemy so that they could improve their odds against whatever this hell threw at them. Now they found a gated town of survivors who had created a community with homes and buildings that reminded Evan of his hometown. It was ripe for the taking. And just as he was about to whistle the attack, he hesitated, sensing he was stepping into a trap. Instead of signaling the attack, he raised his hand for his men to hold their positions. Then he lowered his war mask and scanned the area, taking slow, deep meditative breaths. Ambush. Definitely an ambush. With the sudden realization that they were being watched, Evan gave another whistle that immediately told his men to retreat. One by one, they melted into the gloom and regrouped at the crumbling ruins of a medieval castle. Day of night, soldiers at the gates. Atop a watchtower, Mahan watched the German soldier approach the gates of their small town through the scope of his rifle. "What are they waiting for?" Jaden approached Mahan from behind, holding a sword he had pulled off a statue in a lost realm. Mahan didn't respond as he searched the fog with his scope and found the pack's leader holding his hand up, telling his men to hold their positions. He watched him lower his mask and scrutinize the gates. He then looked up at Mahan and smirked. Haley inched up to Mahan. "They know." But before he could answer, they heard a shrill whistle, and Mahan watched the pack retreat into the fog. He lowered his rifle. "They'll return," he said flatly, adjusting his turban. "We need to be better prepared." "How many?" Haley asked. "I counted 12, give or take. Soldiers. Our world, or a world like it, circa 1918. "I'm not concerned." Jaden held the sword close to his chest. "I am. Their leader has instinct." "I've got instinct," Jaden offered. "Not like him." And Haley and Jaden followed Mahan down the ladder to warn the others that the rowdies had retreated, but that he was sure they would return with a better plan. Arcus, 10,375. Vaults of Yathala, a secret tunnel complex beneath the realms leading to a community of survivors. Mentioned several times in Mary's notebooks, though I have yet to find evidence of such a complex. Arcus, 10,348. Krazik, a species of insect about the size of a horse that has black blood, like oil that can be used as fuel.